Do you want to live through the Dune movies and books?
Which ones? Because the books might be better
First
than the movies.
ones.
And depending on the movies, the some are better than the worst. Anyway, is this better than the movies?
Let's just talk about the game, okay?
Let's just talk about the game. In Dune, one player takes the role of Harkonnen, trying to reach 10 supremacy points. If they do, they win immediately, and they do that by punching Fremen and Atreides in the face, repeatedly.
There are twists, right, and secret things in Dune universe.
Obviously.
Like cards that say what kind of victory points the Atreides team wants to get.
You as a Harkonnen know that he wants to get all 3 of them, but you don't know which one, how much, and then you try to block him off completing those. So we don't know what you're trying to do.
We don't know.
It's what the cards say you need to do to get those points. Each round, you will roll a bunch of dice, place them on the matching symbols on your player board, and then starting with Atreides, you will use one of those dice to do the matching action or play a card.
Those actions can be mostly moving people, moving worms.
Recruiting, getting more cards.
These super powerful cards for each team do very different and crazy things like teleport people and other things that will change the game flow very quickly.
There are a couple of more things that are happening, like gathering spice, storms, worms appearing. Many things are happening on this planet.
And all of these are very thematic, very much difficult to do because the other player will try to ruin your life as much as possible. And I'm saying other player, but this game can be played 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, or 2 versus 1.
Or 1 versus none.
In teams is what we were saying, right?
But also solo.
That's just few things about the game, but we're gonna talk a lot more about this game in this video. And then mention all of the rest of the things, the better things and the worst things and other things.
Many things, but let's get to those things.
And the first thing,
The best things.
3 best things about this game.
This worm. This harvester. And
Janis does this joke every single time.
I don't do it every time.
Every time.
It's been a while, I thought it's okay.
Yeah, it's
I
every
haven't done-
single time, but they'll always edit it out. And I feel like, how much longer will he do it? And it turns out 3 more years.
Shut up. I haven't done this for a very long time.
Very long time.
Ornithopters, the third best thing. My third best thing about this game is going to be the scope. There kinda are politics with the Spice Must Flow part. There's a lot of combat, there are the leaders, there are the events that happen during the book or the movie, there are the sandworms, ornithopters, everything's here. Covers everything about this IP, this universe.
And feels like you're really moving around huge armies and making grand decisions. Third spot goes to 2 versus 2. So I really enjoyed 2 versus 2 game mode. It feels even grander. It's a lot of discussions and a lot of fun.
Yeah, when you play with 2 versus 2, you essentially split that one board right there into 2 boards, and you just divide. One player plays the Fremen, the other player plays the Atreides, and the same thing for the Harkonnen, and the other plays the House Carino. When you play 1 versus 1, it's mostly a very silent but deadly game.
If you're 2 having fun, you're also communicating with the other players more, and it's just more back and forth.
My second one is asymmetric actions on Arrakis is what this AAA game means. Some of the actions match, like moving and attacking, essentially same thing, or drawing cards, but then the powers are different. The way they work, the way they recruit units. For example, for Harkonnen, the units never run out. For Atreides, you have these tokens. Each time you recruit, you place one of these tokens, and they're limited. Once they're gonna run out, that's it, that's all the troops you get. And it feels very different playing each of those powers. There's the Spice phase, that is exclusively for Harkonnen, and then there's the Arrakis Peril phase, that is exclusively for Atreides, like separate phases for each of those factions.
The number 2 is something that complements your point, which is smooth asymmetry. Even though we have completely different powers, it just feels easy to get into.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of rules, but everything flows really, really well and feels nice. I always knew what the other team is doing. When a game has a lot of asymmetry, then it's sometimes like, I have no clue what you're doing. Just do you, I do my things, you will do your things. Here, I always could follow what the other players are doing. Everything felt just smooth, nice, clean. So it's really, really, really good design.
Just like Sardukari blades, my first one is a double-edged sword. We'll talk about why that is in the next segment, but it's a very good thing for me because I love games which can surprise me even if I have played it before. Each of the sides has 2 decks to draw cards from, and it's essentially it's an event card. When you play it, you do what it says. And oh boy, it says such things that you have to reread them twice to be like, wah!
Actually 3 times or 4 times, because you will read them, then you will read them yourself again to believe it, then you will read them when you play them to the opponents, and then you will have to read them to them again, because they're like, no way they do that. But they feel super cool, super powerful, super nice, but also random.
There are also the Atreides cards, which give them victory points, and they essentially have a condition on them. For example, there are Atreides legions in 3 mountain areas. And sometimes these will come up and you're like, 1, 2, 3, right there! Except this is the round end card, which means that guy who's playing Harkonnen possibly will try to mess me up and destroy those legions.
Yeah.
But that's
Because
where the game comes in.
Each round you will get 3 of them, and you can solve 2 of them. So you will most likely kind of prioritize 2 cards and will try to get to them. But Harkonnen will try to stop you. It asks for a lot of resources to stop them, but you will try at least. Sometimes you will do it super easily, and sometimes it's something like really impossible to do.
It's a lot of surprises. And I think it's a good thing. It adds to replayability and it keeps it always fresh.
I always compare good board games with good movies. Good movies need surprises. So also good board games need some surprises, right? Yeah. Super freaking thematic. Best selling point for this game is the theme. If you enjoy Dune.
Oh, I do.
And all the actions feel very thematic. This game won't tell a story with cards and text on them. This game tells a story with mechanisms. For example, Fremen have this desert power. Sounds freaking awesome. And it is freaking awesome. And what it does is you can add these tokens on the board and then use them to ride them with your legions like a sandworm. And you can even use these sandworms to go through them. So you're actually riding sandworms. And it feels great. And it also feels so frustrating and also scary for the Harkonnens to see that path. You really fear the worms. Then the harvesters and these ornithopters. Almost what I said. Feels so freaking good for Harkonnens. All the actions that you do are thematic. It's really rare where you will find games like these that tell an amazing story just purely on mechanics alone. Okay, so we talked about the good things. Let's talk about just the technical things so you know more about it. Not gonna waste your time a lot. Just will mention that please support our channel. It means a lot, and thank you to everybody who does.
Yeah, you also get an extra video every month. First one, it has a good rulebook. I found it very clear. You can find things, it has an index, good rulebook.
We did mess up a few rules, but it's kind of our fault, not the board games. It's 1 to 4 players, so solo or team game.
It's quite complex, 3.5 out of 5, I'd say.
2 hours plus, at least 2 hours, but might take 3 or 4 if you're a really slow thinker.
It is on the expensive side. It's depending where you get it, but I think we paid 150 for it. So it's on the expensive side. There is a lot of stuff in here, and I think it's worth it, but it's not cheap.
And it's worth it because of the components. Components are pretty brilliant. All the miniatures, cards, everything's top notch. These player aids, everything great, except...
Oh, I had gotten over it. I already erased this trauma. The bloody insert. The insert is horrible.
The game takes a lot of table space, that as well, that we didn't mention just. And the insert freaking sucks if you didn't get it from his direction.
Putting stuff back into the insert, little unit by little unit, takes as much as playing one whole round.
That's it for all the technicalities. Technicalities. That's all for all the technicalities.
That's all for the technicalities.
That's all, folks. Let's move on to the next question, which is, what's not for you?
Yeah, why this game might not be for you?
2 versus 2. I mentioned it's really great game mode 2 versus 2, where there's a lot of discussions and intrigue. But if one of your teammates is kind of...
Idiot? Stupid?
No, that's me. I mean, teammate is kind of alpha player and he wants to, you know, calculate everything, then there's no need to cooperate in a team. Because almost all the information is open on the table. The only secrets are the planning or event cards that you pick up. But when you play 2 versus 2, there's not a lot of incentive to really talk unless you want to. We forgot to mention what makes it a cool 2 vs 2 game.
The cone of silence, silence.
Each team can use these pizza slices 3 times to go outside and talk some secrets. Because in general in Dune, everywhere are spies and everything you talk about, everyone hears, all the information is open, except the cards. So if you want to have the silence, you can use the cones of silence, like in the movies and books.
Mine's gonna be surprises. I think it's gonna be about your 2 vs 2. AKA random. It has dice rolling. No, not just for combat. Also for action selection. Sometimes you'll be surprised how you didn't get a single freaking strategy die there, which lets you attack. So what? There are ways around it, and it's not gonna happen a lot, but there's gonna be that. These cards that are gonna blow your mind how cool they are for the opponent. Yeah. I love it. It adds replayability. You're never sure. You always have to adapt. Think on your feet. Some people are not going to love that.
For me, events, randomness sure, but the other thing is these events that the Atreides have to fulfill feel, for me, a bit of a letdown because thematic-wise, everything here mechanically feels very, very thematic. All these cards just ask you have to have these units and send them there.
Half of these are just have a dude or dudette in one of the places, but other like have Jessica and Paul in the same spot because she's training him in the ways of Bene Gesserit.
Units in those spaces and that's it. For me, it's spice, because spice mechanism here and harvesting is great, awesome. When you harvest the spice, and hopefully that's a lot of spice if you are Conan, you can pay that to raise your victory points or spend them to help out your friends, keep your relations with them. If you do not pay the costs of spice, you lose the dice. You know, feels bad, man, to lose friends. But in general, it's not that important. I felt like it's gonna be super duper important, but it doesn't matter.
You don't need to control spice to control the universe?
No.
And the spice really doesn't need to flow?
No, you just need to destroy some strongholds and that's it.
Lies.
Spice don't matter.
Lies.
And then, when we have stopped rumbling about all the bad things, we should move to the best alternative. If you like this, you also will most likely like one of these.
Or if you like one of these, you will most likely like this.
Yeah, War of the Ring is by the same authors, a game based on Lord of
the Rings trilogy, yeah.
It's also a very spicy game with dice. You roll dice and then perform the actions that the dice let you do. And it's very, very thematic, very random.
Yeah, this one's more mobile, I feel. That's more positional. This one's you move around more. This one's shorter.
You can absolutely see that it's the same authors, and you can absolutely see that the same authors have learned and perfected their craft. It's just much cleaner. Game-wise, this is a better game.
Wow, he said it, ladies and gentlemen, he said it. Thank you for watching. Let's go burn War of the Ring.
Yeah, it was my duty to, after testing this multiple times, to try out War of the Ring as well. And luckily, it really still holds up. It's a great game. It's completely different. Both of these games can stay in your collection. They are both great. They're both very different, but also the same. But you can feel that this is 2024, right? And that's 2000 and something. Respecting the authors making 2 brilliant games.
Yeah, I guess it comes down to theme. You really love Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that would also be Dune, you'd never be, that makes no sense. Let me try it again. Anyway, Star Wars Rebellion is also a giant epic game based on an intellectual property, Star Wars, where one player plays Rebellion and the other player plays the Empire. It also has some hidden movement, or should I say hidden bases, where the Empire has to find the base, blow it up, win the game, or the rebels have to hold out long enough. It is nothing like War of the Ring or these because it has cards as actions instead of dice. You do use dice for combat there. It has all your favorite characters. If you like the IP, you should definitely give that a go. I have that one and I like it. I don't have War of the Ring, but you have it, but I like it, and I don't know what.
Let's talk about that in the next section, which is our personal ratings and who is this game for? 3, 2, 1.
I have a little equation here. So if you like war games, if you like dice, and if you like Dune, then it all adds up to must have. If you're missing on, one of these, if you remove one of these, then it's a fantastic game.
But for me, it's absolute must-have. I mean, it's a masterpiece of a game. If this doesn't make a must-have rating, what does? It's super thematic. The actions feel sweet. It goes smooth.
Yes, I was gonna say, just the flow of the game, just all the faces. Faces? Did I say faces?
Yeah.
All of these little faces right here.
Yeah, phases.
Smooth little faces, even though they live in desert. Yeah, it just flows, no pun intended, flows real nice, just like Spice, it was intended, you got me. Always when I play this, I think about when's the next time I'll play this.
Like if you don't like area control, rolling dice, fighting, obviously it's not for you, but if you like those things, I'm not sure what's like bad about it. There's nothing except the insert. Did we mention the insert?
No, stop mentioning the insert, I'm trying to.
Yeah. And I think it's for thematic players. If you just enjoy thematic games,
Definitely is, yeah.
The table presence itself, then it's for you.
I think they'll mention in the comments why this is not a masterpiece.
Yeah, let me know, because it is.
Thank you for watching. Considering supporting us by becoming a YouTube member or a Patreon supporter, because that helps us a lot to continue doing these videos.
Smash like, subscribe, comment.
Anything helps. What's your favorite IP game?